Hey everybody, welcome to the Wall of Shields. It's been a while. Actually, it's been almost a month and a half, 2 months since I had an update. But yeah, progress has been slow. I've been busy with some things. But I did accomplish a few things. I did actually get some things painted up decent anyway. For my ancient Romans. Now these guys are going to be allies for my Polybian Romans. These are Numidians, by the way, an army which I intend to do eventually. There's one of those little African elephants. You know that the elephant isn't gray, he's brown in this case, which can happen with African elephants. They're usually a little bit smaller too, but if you look at this one here, which is an Asian elephant, you'll see they're about the same actually, but that's alright. So yeah, got an elephant for my Romans. So I did get him done. I also got 3 elements of light cavalry finished. Again, Numidians. Pretty easy to paint. They're basically just brown or white cloth. That's about it. They don't have too much variance with the uniforms, if you can call them that. But yeah, I did get 3 elements of those done, as well as the elephant. So right now that's a little allied contingent for my Romans, which would be nice. I did give some of my models a wash. Actually, not a wash. I gave them a little dip. And I think my dip is a little bit too strong, so things got a little bit dark there. I'm not sure why that happened. This is a mid-tone, and I never had them come out that dark before. So, yeah, they're alright. I had to go back and paint over it a little bit to kind of make the colors stand up. You can see that red is very faded. But that's okay. That is fine. And one thing I've been itching to do, if I could set these to the side, is start up playing some of this. Which is L'Art de la Guerre, which is a good DBX style miniatures rules. Pretty popular. They're getting popular anyway over in Europe, Great Britain, and America. At all the major cons, like Historicon, they're starting to get a lot of tournament action going on. So, I don't know, are these the new DBM? Or Field of Glory? But I thought I'd take a quick look at it with you. Show you what it looks like and what you're kind of getting. It's a big book. I mean, how many pages? It's almost 200 pages worth of army lists and rules. It does come with a ton of army lists, which take up most of the back of the book. And they're subdivided up into sub-periods. As they call the first one the ancient period, then they got the classical period, and the Roman period. And each period lists its own army lists that belong in that period, subdivided into regions. Like here we have the Middle East. We got the ancient Egypt, early Europe, which includes 4 lists, including the Celts, various Greeks, that kind of thing. And yeah, they got the Americas, late Middle Ages, feudal ages, dark ages. So that's nice. And this is actually the bulk of the book. Is the army lists. You can see what the army lists look like. I'm getting glare there. And it gives you troop types, the point value of each base or unit actually. In this game, units or elements, if you want to call them that, are actually 2 bases. Instead of like in DBA where it's just 1 element, there's your unit. But in this game, they're twice the depth. The frontage is the same, but you set up 2 bases, one behind the other, and that becomes your unit or your element, if you want to call it that. So, yeah. And an exception to that would be the pike formations, which can be 2, just like the others. 2 bases, one behind the other. Or it does give you the option of using 3, like that, and that would be a unit. just like that. So that's one difference with the rules compared to DBM or Field of Glory. Well, Field of Glory uses units. DBM or DBA. Those kind of games, which is nice. I like that. It kind of reminds me of Impetus, where basically bases were too wide and too deep. Like this, that would be your Impetus size base, and the number of figures is irrelevant. So you could build little dioramas basically, and that would be your Impetus base. So it's kind of like that, except everything is by depth instead. So this would be 2 units in my art. De la Guerre. So yeah, not bad. One good thing about this set of rules is that it does let you play with armies that are about the size of DBA armies. But normal games of this are actually slightly bigger than DBA-sized battles. It's more like an army and a half of DBA in size. That's the typical size army with Layart. But you can play bigger battles, of course, on a bigger table. And it does have rules for that. So you can have big, say for instance, like DBM-sized battles. So yeah, here's all the lists. And that's a big section of the rules right there. All this is just army lists. And I got some appendix in the back here. Designer's notes. Always good to see that. Again, these rules are from France. The author's in France. And they're quite popular over in France, actually. Pretty much a replacement for the Field of Glory and DBM games that people would play over there. But it's been around for what, 12 years now? I don't remember how old these rules actually are, but they've been around quite a while. And this is the most recent 2014 edition of the rules. The earliest copyright is 2008 that I could see. So yeah. So that's been around a while. I'm quite surprised they never picked up. Of course, with the popularity of Field of Glory and DBMM, of course DBA, I could see how they can get overlooked. But now that people are kind of getting tired of Field of Glory and DBMM, they're kind of looking for other alternatives, and these seem to be picking up. Budget, that's your point value to buy your army. All the rules on making your army. It's got rules for allied contingents, so on. So the rest of the book is the actual rules. You get this nice little glossy play sheet with it too, which is nice. There's all your important information right there in front of you to play the game. So yeah, you get that. Section on routing and pursuing. Lots of little examples here, which are illustrations actually. They do have lots of color photos, though, of painted miniatures, which is nice. And a lot of people like to use that as kind of like a painting guide in a way. It is helpful. See how other people are painting up their figures. Melee resolution. So yeah, it's very nice. I skimmed through these rules one time so far. I really like what they do. I like them a lot. It's more clearer than, say, DBM is. It's got more meat to it than, say, DBA. But yeah. All the rules for shooting and rallying, disengaging, interpenetration, burst through, uncontrolled charges, which is fun. Like that in my games. What do you do when somebody leaves the table? Blah, blah, blah. There's charging, of course. And again, this uses, it's very DBX oriented, if you know what I mean. If you've played any DBX games, you'll know what I mean. Like when you resolve combat and shooting, it's a D6 plus the factors for your unit types and the situation, the tactical situations. So it's kind of like that. All your rules for wheeling, half turns, sequence of play, all this good stuff. How to determine victory. There's commander bases, I believe, that are They're separate from units, as you can see. This little base here that's a circle, that's actually your commander. I don't think you have to use round bases for your officers, but I think the option is there in the rules. Everything about command, giving your orders, spontaneous charges, command points, which I believe is like kind of like the way DBX uses pips. I believe they're called command points. I could be wrong. This is something unique to the game system. Strategists, I think they're basically historical personalities that are available to your army list, like guys like Julius Caesar and Hannibal. Like if we go back to the army lists, I believe in here it does actually talk about the various strategists that can be in that army. If I could find one here, I don't know where they mention that. It's somewhere in here. Let me see if I could find a list I can recognize. Again, there's tons of army lists in here, typical of Ancients rules. It's one of the reasons I like it so much. There's so much variety. I can't see it. I don't know where it mentions strategists, but it's somewhere in here. I'll have to look into this a little bit deeper. What's this? Every army has commanders, one leading each corps. Distribute your command points. The commander-in-chief of an army may be a strategist, only if the army list allows it. A strategist counts as a brilliant commander in terms of command bonus points, value +2. So, something like that. Okay, let's move on here. Full rules for commanders. Unit characteristics, how they're divided up into the unit types, like light infantry, their protection value, which is like a number from 1 to 3. Their cohesion. Cohesion's important in this game. You basically lose cohesion as you get shot at and fight in melees. The more, it's like kind of like casualties in a way. And you need to use markers in your games to represent loss of cohesion. Bad things happen as you accumulate them, but you can get rid of them, so that's interesting. Some people use little different colored rubies to represent certain levels of cohesion loss. You can use a cumulative set of chits if you wanted, like each one represents one cohesion lost, and have a little stack next to your units. But it's a bad thing. Expendables, missile troops, stakes, javelins, rules for elephants, and I understand the rules in here for elephants. The elephants are quite devastating, quite nasty. Yeah, it's different sets of rules cater to elephants in different ways, and it's hard to say which one is more realistic since elephants are so random, really. You only have the written texts from the ancient era describing how elephants were used and their effects in battle. So it's a difficult topic, but I understand elephants are pretty deadly in this game. There's your rules for the special abilities, like two-handed weapons, cavalry, armor types, like heavy armor. It's got a description of the classifications of troops, war wagons, levy, pikemen, blah, 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 blah. And of course, you have a description of the units and army and how it's made up. How units are represented. And again, here's a nice picture of what represents a unit. And these are typically bases for DBX size bases, like 15mm scale figures. These would be like 40 by 15. Like this right here is heavy infantry, with or without missile support. Basically, it's 40 by 30 depth, I believe. The heavy infantry is 40 by 15, made up of two bases, one behind the other, and it looks like that. Here's your pikes. So units are pretty small. I don't think you actually change formations like double line or march columns. I don't think none of that is in here. I mean, basically, your unit is there. That's what it looks like. That's how it moves. So it's conceivable you could play with bases of any size, really. One base equaling one unit, That's conceivable. So you can have mixed units, rules for camps, of course. Unfortunately, these rules don't talk about rules for naval troops like DBMM does. DBM, where you can have your ships coming onto the table and unloading troops on the enemy's flank or something. It doesn't have that. Not many rules do, really. Some do. I don't think, like Impetus, I don't think caters for that either. Which is sad, because I like having my ships on the table. I painted them up, I'd like to use them. There's your contents, right there. So, that's a little look at the rules. They are de la guerre, French. And I forget how much I paid for these. I had to pay top-notch for them, because they're hard to get here in the States. I believe you could get these in the U.S. on Military Matters, and I believe also the War Store also has these, and you can usually get things discounted there. So if normally this goes for $50, you could probably get it for 40 or even less at the War Store. Look around, maybe eBay. Like I said, these rules are they're not new, although this is the 2014 edition. They are getting quite popular here in the States, and I'm pretty excited to use them and try them out. They sound good. They sound just like what I want to play, DBX style, anyway. So, this is one of my things I'd like to get into very shortly as my collection starts to expand. I should be doing that. I have plenty more figures to paint, of course. So, yeah, folks, that's kind of the things I've been doing, what I've been up to, and I have more things coming. And I hope you stay tuned. The wall of shields has not disappeared, nor shall it. Okay, folks, any questions, drop me a line, let me know. Stay tuned, I got more things coming up, probably things I missed talking about in this little video, but more things are coming, my friends. So I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned, more coming. Take care.